Okay, we're going to do a basic shampoo demo at the moment, and we're going to do it on Kayla. I just want to go through very beginning to end of what we're going to do, right from draping to pre-brushing. Before you ever start your client service, as with anything, you need to wash your hands, okay? So make sure you're going to wash your hands probably 20 times in a day when you're at the salon. You want to make sure that you're germ-free. And that you're not passing on any of the bacteria that might be on your hands to your client, okay? So once we've done that, we're going to start the draping. So once your hands are washed, you're going to have to drape your client. You're going to need 2 towels and a cape to drape them. Your towels are going to be the small hand towels like this, okay? So just take your towel from corner to corner on the diagonal so that your towel looks like this. You're going to put this around her neck so that it's really flat on her neck. You don't want this to be bulky, and you're just going to tuck it in at the bottom, trying not to have this be too bulky in here, otherwise when you put the cape on it's going to be very bulky again. You want to make sure now that this, when you put the cape on, the cape can go nicely around this towel and that you never have the cape touching her skin. Now on her neck, I'm going to take the cape and put it over top. Make sure the cape always has a bit of towel in between the cape and her skin, so the cape should never be touching her skin as we put this around. Then one of the reasons for that is we don't wash these shampoo capes. The only time we do wash them, we just don't wash them every time. We only wash them if they're touching the skin or if they're getting dirty. Okay, so that's towel number 1 and then the cape. Now for a wet service like a shampoo, you're going to have to go in and take a second towel, and it's going to go right around her shoulders. Okay, so same thing, grab it on the diagonal, and it just lift her hair up. And it's going to come right around and tuck it down there as flat as you possibly can. Okay, when you have this here, you're going to want to make sure that the cape is on the back of the shampoo chair. That is going to be very important, that this cape is back here. If I happen to get any water down the back here, as long as the cape is back here, the water's going to come down the back of the cape and then go on the floor. That's not a problem. If Kayla sat forward and the cape was like this, and if I happen to get her wet, well, the water's going to come down here all the way down the cape, and her butt's going to be wet before she leaves. Make sure this cape is over the back of the chair before she's in there. Now, she's here. You would think at this point you're going to stop and do a pre-brush. Now, the pre-brush is not done very often in the salon, but it is the full procedure for a shampoo. When you're going in for the pre-brush, really you just want to take the hair in 1/2-inch sections. It helps to loosen up any tangles that are in the hair, or if there's any tangles in the hair as well. So you don't want to be
You need to re-say that.
What?
You said it's going to loosen any tangles in the hair, or any tangles in the hair as well.
What did I mean by the other one? Hairspray.
Hairspray. Yeah, go.
Okay, so when you're doing the pre-brush is going to take out any tangles in the hair and loosen any hairspray or buildup that might be on there. And at the same time, this is a good time for you to be able to analyze the scalp and see if they might have any scalp disorders or anything that you need to be aware of at this time. You would never give a pre-brush before a chemical service like a perm or a color, because if you did, it ends up having, you irritate the scalp, you get the blood flow going at the scalp, and you end up irritating the scalp. And then if you give a color after a pre-brush, their scalp can be fairly itchy. And the same with a perm. Their scalp can be fairly itchy afterwards and irritated from that. So we're just going to go in here and do our pre-brush right along the entire hair. Okay, once the pre-brush is finished, we're going to guide our client's head to the back of the sink. You need to make sure you're guiding their head back in the sink. If they take their head back on their own, it seems a little silly, but they could, because the chair moves back, they could accidentally bonk their head on the sink and give themselves a bit of a bump or a bruise there. So just make sure you're gently guiding them back. Now when you start the shampoo, you're going to test the water on your own wrist first before it ever goes on their hair. Once the water temperature is right, you can put it on the client and ask them if it's okay. How's the temperature? Good. Oh, gotten a little warm there. When I put the water on the client's scalp, make sure your pinky is covering the water here so that the water always touches your finger first. And when you're right in the bowl, you need to make sure you have your hand right over their ear. You don't want any water getting into their ears or splashing onto their face. It's not that the water is going to be harmful to the ears, but it's just rather annoying when they get that there. I mean, they get water in their ear every time they shampoo and the shower, but this is just a little different. You want their comfort there. Watch when I lifted up the head, the nozzle is right onto the scalp. As long as the nozzle is right facing the scalp, I shouldn't have any water being splashed up at me. If I had the nozzle coming out to the side and it was no longer touching the scalp, you can see the water would come right up and splash me and the client. Okay, so then we're going to get right into the shampoo. And as long as you're using professional products, you really don't need a large amount of shampoo. About the size of a pea is good. Make sure you work it through your hands well first before it goes into the hair. You don't want a big blob of shampoo in there. And you're going to just start massaging from the roots to the ends of the hair. Once you have that finished, you're just going to go in and rinse again. Make sure you check your water temperature. Covering the ears and the forehead so that they don't get splashed with the water. Get right underneath at the nape of the neck. And you can repeat that twice if you like. We're just going to do it once for the video, and we're going to go into and use our conditioner. Same thing as a conditioner. If it's a good quality conditioner, you should only need about a pea-sized amount. Work it through to your hands, and then right on the roots up to the ends. Leave it on as long as the manufacturer recommends. And then we're going to go in and rinse that out as well. Now before you lean your client up, you want to make sure you squeeze out any water, just gently squeeze out any water, and you don't want her to sit up at this point because she's got water on her hair and it's going to drip onto her face as she sits up. So take a towel and wrap it right around her hairline, and then you can guide her head up. At this point she should be ready for her service, and you can take her to your station and work on her there. I just want to go through really quickly some of the cleanup that you're going to have to do for this. Okay, so in terms of sanitation, make sure that you're putting your towels into the laundry bin, directly into the bin. Your cape can be folded up. Remember, you only wash this if it gets dirty or if it comes in contact with the client's skin. Otherwise, it gets folded up and it can be reused again. Your sink is the main important part in here. You're going to want to spray down your entire sink and take out any hair that might be in there. Don't leave any hair in that drain or in the sink. Also at this time you could spray down your chair and wipe your chair as well. You want to make sure that the station has been left very sanitary for the next person who comes in. And of course you're going to sanitize your brush the same way you're going to sanitize all your brushes and combs. Remove the hair, give it a wash with your sanitizer and soap, and then put it in a dry sanitary place.